All right, well, I wanted to do this on live, but I don't have good enough reception in my current shop. I don't have Wi-Fi in here yet, and it's a completely tin-sided and roofed building, and there's zero reception in here. And if I have enough that I would be able to start the live, and I think it would broadcast and stream, but it would buffer and cut like every 10 to 15 seconds, and it's almost unwatchable and actually like understand what's going on. So anyways, what I have in front of me today, I just picked this guy up. This is an MS260 Pro. I don't know if that actually like means anything. Like sometimes the old Supers would like have a basically like a factory big bore, but this one I think is just basically the same thing as a 026. And it's a really good runner. This thing runs, it's a really clean looking saw, runs really great. What I want to do to it today is get a, I want to get in here, take the cylinder off, do a base gasket delete, and then open up the stock muffler a little bit. And eventually I think I'm either going to get one of the Egan straight shots or a bark box. Probably, I want to get both of them and run them both and see how they perform, but I'm going to start with a bark box because my local rental place carries West Coast saw shit in stock, and so that one I'll be able to get my hands on first, but the Egan will have to come in the mail. Anyways, let me go grab my toolbox and we'll start taking parts off of this thing. And okay, I've got my toolbox over here now. I'm going to start just taking the top covers off and all that. Get it opened up so I can start maybe getting at the cylinder. It's already got one of the mesh air filters on here. Normally I wouldn't run one of these, but for what I'm trying to do to this saw, the mesh is going to actually let it breathe better. Anyway, so it's going to help once I open the muffler up and bump the compression up with the base gasket delete. It should be a pretty zippy little saw. Now, okay, let me take the muffler off. We'll see what it looks like inside of here. I think the screen in this saw might need to get burnt off, get some of the carbon off of it, because the exhaust sounded really quiet when I run it, but the 026, 260 stock mufflers are also pretty quiet mufflers. So I don't know. See what the screen looks like here. Where is the screw to remove you? It appears to be missing, so let's just drag the screen out of it. Come here. Come here. What in the... Come on now. I know you don't want to leave your home, but I'm telling you to come out. Come on now. There it goes. Kind of. There. Now that's pretty clear. Definitely wasn't blocked or anything, so. Yeah, they're just quiet mufflers. There's not a ton to them as far as baffling, but yeah, well, I guess all the exhaust does have to go through that tiny little hole right there. So yeah, I'm gonna basically cut this whole baffle thing out of there and just, I think I'm probably just gonna punch holes right here and just let it dump out there. I'm gonna try and basically cut this out, and we might weld some kind of a thing there that pipes the exhaust out through here, but for now I'm just gonna punch holes right there. That way it can breathe through easier, and it's not having to fight through that. That's like a, what is that? Probably 1/4 inch hole, maybe more than that, maybe a third or so, but it's that small. So that's kind of the point of this venture, is to increase the airflow through it a little bit. It might like that. It might like it just a little bit. It's not gonna gain much actual like horsepower or torque or anything, but it'll make it accelerate a little faster. It will make its revving up quite a bit snappier. That's why whenever guys ask like, oh, what do you see as far as gains for when you put on a performance muffler or a higher flowing foam filter, and you notice a little bit. You do notice a tiny bump. Like, it's definitely a little spunkier, but it's nothing like, you're not going to be pulling any larger bar any more efficiently. It's going to run about as fast as before as far as speed goes, but you'll notice it will get up to where its full RPM is a little snappier than the OEM baffled mufflers and all that. Okay. Oh yeah, she looks really nice and clean, which is what I expected. Alright, I want to see all the way through here. I'm going to take you up here for a second. Alright, yeah, I looked in there and it's nice and clean as a whistle, and I tried looking for markings on the side of the cylinder. I believe it's the OEM Male cylinder still, so that's really cool. I think this is just a really low hour saw. This thing, it definitely has been used, but hardly, like really hardly used. So I did overpay for it a little bit. I think the market for these, for a decent running a 026 or 260, is like $250, $300, and I paid $375 for this at a pawn shop. But this thing's super clean and it runs like a top. I wouldn't usually buy pawn shop saws, but this one was just kind of a lucky find. It's super low hours, and I'd have to kind of struggle to find one that runs as good as this one and is as clean as this one. All the plastics are in good shape. It even has like the old saw shop sticker from where it was sold. Isn't faded, it's still legible and everything. So given this saw was probably only sold at most 20 years ago, but still, that's 20 years of sitting. It probably sat in some guy's garage or whatever for all that time. Probably got used 2 or 3 times a year for an hour or so at the most, but okay. So at this point, I think I'm gonna take the carb off, and then from there I should be able to get the where the fuck did my 8 go? The 8 always disappears off this rail because it doesn't. There's supposed to be a little like push tab here that I can depress to get the things to come off, and that broke off a long time ago, and so it doesn't. The 8 always disappears in my toolbox, and I have to go searching for it. There it is. Off up in the corner here. There. That's the one I want. Yes. Okay. Throttle rod on there. I'm gonna disconnect the fuel hose while it's still on. Okay. I should just want to slide back after a little persuading. There. Pop it up by the impulse barb. That's what does it. That's the ticket to get that out of there. Okay. Yeah, I think, what model is this? Is it the original? Oh, it's the original WT Walbro. Cool. Or at least if it was replaced with an OEM Walbro, not a copy. Is it WT 493? Okay. Also gonna pull off this little intake spacer ring thing, intake sleeve, and then the little, I guess that doesn't exactly need to go. Intake boot should be able to slip through here now. Poke that through. Alright, that's probably okay. I'm gonna turn my focus to the cylinder screws. I don't remember if the impulse is part of the cylinder or the crankcase, but we're hoping for crankcase and not part of cylinder, because then I don't have to remove the impulse from the air box. That would be really nice. I don't know if I have solder wire anywhere, but I should try and take a, oh, I do have solder up here. That might be too fat, but I'm gonna try and get a squish reading really quick before I get too much further. I'm actually gonna take these and snug them back down again. Just a little snug, not nothing terribly crazy. I am gonna break them all first though, so that they're not a fucking struggle. And the screws like these ones are why I got these snap-on T-handles, because I have literally twisted the Icon Harbor Freight ones apart on steel fasteners that are torqued to mock Jesus. And yeah, I was what was it? It was a concrete saw, I think. Yeah, it was one of the TS420s, one of the starter screws. I'd stuck it in there and reefed on it real good and just cracked the whole tip of the Icon one off. Grabbed this snap-on one here, stuck it in there, and it like broke right away. And I was like, there's a reason. Sometimes it's only stuff like this, the T-handles or any kind of tool that I want the tolerances to be like exact, like when I don't care, like this is a Pittsburgh set of sockets and I've got a Pittsburgh ratchet, and when it's like stuff that I'm not too worried about being right on, but the snap-on stuff still has its place. But I'm not in any rush to get on that truck ever. I only do it if it's like I need something to work, and usually Torx T-handles are like the most important thing in my entire repertoire. It's the one thing that's like, it's either I can do the job or not if I have my Torx, pretty much, sometimes. Yes, okay. We do have confirmation. That's the Male tag on this side. Let's see. Yeah. Right there. It says Male, and then on this side it's got the stihl. So this is indeed the OEM cylinder. Very, very nice, very nice. Anyways. Alright guys, so I've skipped ahead a little bit on the 026. I was getting pretty spun out last night trying to get the cylinder back on. I ended up not being able to get it on because I didn't have a ring compressor, and I ended up deciding that I was just going to convert it to a single ring and to kind of accentuate the base gasket delete and the holes that I drilled in the muffler. It's all going to kind of come together to make it run a little faster than it was before, and it's still doing great on compression. I don't know what the compression reading was before I did the gasket delete and all that to it, but after the delete, it's sitting right just a hair under 180 psi for a compression reading, which is fucking awesome. So yeah, this thing's doing great. I still need to get a chain made up for it. I don't have a 20-inch chain right now. All my chains are bigger than the ones than this bar, and yeah, and then I'll be able to run it. But this is how it's running right now. She's happy. Now I know it is probably going to slow down a little bit once I get a chain mounted on and everything, but man, this thing is a good, I have a feeling this thing's going to be a little ripper. So yeah, I'll bring you back once I've got a chain made up for it and we'll hit the wood.